my show, and there is no exception regarding today's guest. He is one of my personal favorites, and I have been following him since his first videos for way over 2 years ago. With his incredible knowledge and with an easy to understand approach, you can find my guest dedicating all his time for what he's believing in through his both YouTube channel, with his unique music, and with his artwork. With a sense of humor and highly dedicated to his work, he takes us through a mysterious world, and he exposes the lies you and me have been fed. Whether it is NASA and the modern science, prehistorical events and historical landmarks who have been hidden for us, or whether it is to interpret the reality surrounding us, he does it in a unique way that you probably haven't seen before. And he tells his story with humor, with seriousness, and with a pinch of expertise. My ladies and gents, I won't hold you on wait no more, and it is an honor and with a great thrill that I present to you the one and only, my personal favorite, Mr. UAP. UAP, thanks for putting aside time for us, and it is a really honor to have you here on my show. Welcome aboard.
Thanks, Sam. I'm thrilled to be here, and I'm really excited to be able to talk to your audience. And I looked at the demographics of the channel, and Sweden is pretty far down on the list. So hopefully, this will reach some people who've not seen any of the stuff that I have to offer, and I really appreciate the work and effort you've put in to get to this point with what you're doing with all of your activities in the truth community. So thanks for having me on.
I'm humbled. Thank you very much, UAP, for the warming and kind words. As I said, an honor and a thrill to have you, and I have followed your work for a long time, and you are really one of the reason that I'm walking today. So the pleasure is on my side, 100%. Once again, welcome aboard. So let's get on with this interview. We have 1 hour and a half in front of us with different subject that we will discuss, and I will ask UAP. So just let's go on. For me to get out your messages as well then. So
yeah,
it will be
it definitely ties together. I think that's an advantage that we have is being open-minded.
Yes.
You have you don't have that compartmentalization that I won't say the other side, because it's not really sides, it's people who haven't woken up yet.
Exactly.
They're on our side, they just don't know it yet.
yeah.
And but they have the compartmentalization issues, as well as the kind of closed-mindedness to the alternative narratives or explanations for things. And yeah, it ties together, and that's great. So what are the main subjects you focus on? I'm wondering. Just
I am really broad. I'm talking about flat Earth, but I am on that edge where I don't really want to take any sides. I don't want to say that I know for sure that it's flat. But what I say in my videos that I know for sure that we don't live on a ball. I know for sure that the science Newton and Einstein presents are false, doesn't add up with reality. I know that there is no measurable curve and so on and so forth. So flat Earth is one of my major subject, and that goes and merges together with the reality we're living in, and I have divided it in two parts. the reality around us, the media, the history, for that kind of reality, and then the other reality that is this world physical? Is this not physical? People are a little bit. They don't like when we talk about illusion, especially if they are religious. But even if this if was an illusion, we could as well as have a soul anyway and sitting somewhere else, and our brain receive the soul. So we could have a soul and be religious, even though this could be an illusion, this world. And my one question I have touched on lately is the science they give us. We know that some of it is okay and truth, and most of it is false, but the one that everything can be divided down to an atom, and an atom is a mini solar system. I mean, they can even prove it. We don't even have a microscope who can show us atom. So that's those subject I am.
Yeah. You know, just because you mentioned it, and
Yeah.
I have barely talked about it, but the scanning electron microscope.
Yep. Yes.
These types of technologies, they kind of fall apart when you really look into it. It's not exactly what we were taught it was, just like so many other things.
Exactly.
And I looked into it briefly. I still need to, but I think the scanning electron microscope, it may be simply just a microscope that uses infrared wavelengths.
Yep.
And it's just light. It's not scanning electron.
Some kind of X-ray.
Yeah, and then the software that you use with it interprets that through like multiple HD images and interprets it into the image that you get. And I'm pretty well convinced that I'm on the right track with that. But I didn't know if you had heard that when I made a video called the scamming electron microscope.
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
How can I ask you for how old? When did you do that video?
Oh, probably about a year ago.
Okay,
I think it was on the secondary channel, but.
I have a question for you. So we just go into the subject. I have, you talk a lot about NASA, and it's almost ridiculous that our people around us doesn't see what we can see. How they launch up rockets, who goes as a bow, and so on and so forth, and also the bubbles in we can see in the spacewalks. But my question here is, do you think that so mighty powerful agency like NASA, who I think swallows about 55 million US dollar per day, do you think that they really do those mistakes mistakenly, or do you think that they are there by purpose to just wake? I mean, I don't know why, but do you think it's purposely made, or there by design?
I don't think most of it's on purpose. I think it's an actual accident. And the thing about it is, like, we're still, like, I feel in the early stages of scrutinizing it properly because of all the brainwashing.
Yes.
And so the mistakes that we notice were probably always there. Well, they were always there to some extent, just because they can't perfectly fake something. You can, just like any magician's trick, there's always going to be somebody in the audience who can figure it out. And what we didn't have before is we didn't have a forum where one person in the 100 figures it out, or maybe one person in 1,000, because only one person in 100 is even trying to figure anything out or even thinking of it as possibly a magic trick.
Yes.
Because of all the brainwashing. But then now we have this forum where like-minded people get together and we share information, and depending on the trick that they're doing, we can figure it out pretty quickly or more slowly. And it's something, though, that at some point you have to step back and look at it and think for a minute that the kind of trick that they're doing,
yes,
is something amazing, because the very premise, the very idea of it all,
yep,
the notion, just on the surface of it, if you never heard of NASA or anything to do with any of that stuff,
yes,
and then you stepped out of the forest into this world here, and you see that stuff, you would think that is the most absolutely ridiculous children's story nonsense I've ever seen before. It's a joke. And you wouldn't accept. There would be some major things that you just simply would not accept.
yes,
And these things dawn on me, and it's like, we're arguing about shadows of the moon.
yes,
There's a lot of that stuff going on, but it's something where I say, well, wait a minute, because it's supposed to be a almost pure total vacuum up there, and these guys are in suits moving, and you can't do that.
yes,
You can't. If you have flexible material, it's going to balloon out until it's hard and stiff with
yes,
the pressure, and there's no mechanism that's going to push back and return it to that flexible state so that you can move it, and
yes,
and what people do, they make up things in their mind to explain, well, there's a different material and this type of thing, but that isn't something that they know. That's something that they're just making up on the spot. And I used to do that.
yes.
As a physicist, like I would be asked questions, or I'd be in the classroom, and that was the game. That's how you are smart in the classroom, is you come up with a concept,
yes,
and so it's just they rely on that, and so then they feel like they don't really have to try that hard. But of course, they have the budget to. Their problem is they put out so much material, and they dig themselves. They paint themselves into a corner. They do that, and then they have to do something weird to get out of it. But always the lie, as long as the lie gets bigger and it gets more ridiculous,
yes,
that just works for them. They can never go on the defensive, and that's how I think we have an angle on exposing them, is they really can't. They do go on the defensive, but it has to be subtle, and they're trying harder, but I think there are so many things that it's almost too easy to point out those things. But like, sometimes I feel I shouldn't do it anymore because it's been done, but it's too much fun.
yes, yes. I definitely agree. I have a handful of within my community or the audience. I have a handful of Gestapo truth seekers, if you can call them like that, and they are in that line, that into this thought, into this theory that the system, or NASA, or whoever it is who are uh, pulling the strings, that they have made a fool of themselves, in the past, before we could address their mistakes as we can. So what they do right now is to make a couple of mistakes um, purposely, so that people like you and me turn to our friends and our relatives and siblings, so they think that we are idiots.
Hmm.
Something like that. What do you think about that theory?
Oh, definitely. I think they do that, and there's a term for it, which I don't know. Maybe it's a Swedish term.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's Finjord, FNORD,
Mhm.
where they it's not really used so much in the context of deception, but more so like an artistic way of um, throwing in an element of something of that's just obscenely ridiculous, just just to confuse the matter. And well, for NASA, I think they definitely do that to trap us and make us look like fools, or to have something where they know that they can come back. If they're cornered, they can try to pick the issue and then say, let's argue this. And then we have all the confidence in the world because we're right about all these other issues. But if they choose the one thing that they've prepared, then, they'll use that, and surprise, they have extra, cards in the deck or whatever to
Yeah.
use against this. And I think like some of it may be like with the CGI, the virtual reality.
Yes.
And I fell into this a little bit too, where I think they put in some physical characteristics like the snake eyes or the reptilian type stuff. They just, because they can do anything with the
Yep.
computers,
Yes.
and so they do that, and they kind of try to feed these notions to to try to make us look ridiculous.
You said a really good thing in your video today. You say that my logo for my channel is UAP, and it's a simple. If I wanted to, why would I have a snake or a scorpion if I don't want to deceive anybody? Uh,
Mm.
can't you just build on that a little, and just repeat that for my audience? I will be so appreciated so
Oh
much.
yeah, sure. Yeah, I was saying, like, if that's the game, if the game is to produce CGI for a really expensive price, which is what we get from the science community oftentimes, but especially with regards to fake space,
Yes.
um, I thought, I could use some extra money. Why don't I just publicize my robot to Mars or whatever, and I'll draw it up on CGI or use Kerbal Space Program or something, and just pawn it off as real. But I said, I'd
Exactly.
be really good. I'd be good at that just by myself with a very low budget. I could probably do a good job, not as good as NASA with their budget maybe, but I wouldn't make some of the same mistakes that they do.
Yes.
But you know what? I don't. I just, it wouldn't sit well with me to prosper from deceiving people,
Yep.
and uh, it's just throughout. It's all the way through NASA, and like even on their logo, like why would they choose the vector and paint it like a snake's tongue and
Exactly.
have that be there? It's so infused into their nature, the
Yep.
very name. Yeah, apparently, and it may be coincidence, but it rhymes with something with Hebrew about deception.
Exactly.
But whether that's the case, whether that was by design or not, it's a hallmark that fits, like so many other things. It just just their origins with the Nazi Operation Paperclip and Werner von Braun and all that. It just is all the way through.
Exactly.
And
his gravestone
and the real travesty, I said, was just the fact that really good people, really bright people,
yes,
put their hopes and aspirations and their intellect into it. Exactly. And there's nothing there. It's fake.
That's such a shame, really. Waste with intelligence and waste with human resources. Really.
Yeah, I witnessed it in my own, like my family's, a lot of them are engineers, and one of my siblings had an internship and did everything right, super smart, aeronautical engineering master's degree, working on the PhD, sitting at NASA doing formulas and calculations for different things with satellites, but it's all nonsense, pretend, but you don't know. You turn in the paper and
exactly.
They say thank you and everything, and you don't understand. Why don't they hire you? Why don't they hire me? Well, because you're not in on it. Exactly. You're a good soldier, a good Boy Scout, good Girl Scout, whatever. You're nice, but you don't belong here because it's a place of total charlatanism. Exactly. And it's a shame. It's a waste.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can see,
but it's a great place to work, though.
Yeah, I can imagine, and it's that it's a good pay also.
Yeah,
of
sure.
course. I'm just taking a step away from NASA because you have a lot of great work beside NASA. And beside all your humoristic videos, which are very appreciated of all of your subscribers also, but you have also some kind of serious, really good videos about resetting time, about buildings where we really haven't built them. It doesn't fit into the structure around. The sizes are different, and what do you have to say about that? And merge and build into it. How easy would it be to reset time? I mean, if you have millions of orphans, or not even that, just to re-educate people and change languages, as we could see with colonialism. How easy is it to reset time? So, sorry for the long question, but
yeah, no. Well, it just followed